Raymond.
DJ.
Oh man, I'm so excited to see you. You're like one of those people that you see and you're like, oh, I remember how much I love this guy. Right?
Uh, it's likewise, man. The feelings are completely mutual. You're one of the first teachers that I had in Los Angeles, and one of the most like intellectual, sobering people that I met that made me feel like this was a real viable way of living and a path of artistry. And you were the living embodiment of that. So I'm thankful that you're having me on. This feels like a
Oh,
real nice moment here. Thank you,
it
man.
is. Oh man, I was just thinking, thank you for saying that. It sounds like, but you haven't been doing really well with the craft. So like you didn't take
What?
No, stop, man. You've been killing it, man. I'm joking. I'm just saying it's just been wonderful to watch. Wonderful to watch you kind of like skyrocket. And I hope you'll enjoy some of these questions I got for you. But first, I want to hit a hard hitting one. How the F is it parenting during a pandemic, man?
It's a doozy. It's a doozy. But I'll tell you what, I mean, she's only 2 years old, so I kind of don't even have a frame of reference what it would be like, but I could only imagine that the access to like playgrounds and taking your kid places is what I'm missing out on. And also living in constant fear of, our family contracting it through any means of going out. So I feel like just being restricted from going into restaurants and stuff is the biggest thing we're missing out on. But she's 2 years old now, so she's still super manageable. I can't imagine having like a legit kid like 4, 5, 6 years old where you have to have the pressure of teaching and on top of parenting. So I feel like that would be really tough. But we're having fun. I bet. How do you do it?
How do I don't do it well. I cry often in a corner. I'm just gonna be honest, like it's insane, and I want to make sure that people know that, like the remote learning, and parenting, and like I feel like I'm the bully in school, like do you know what I mean? I'm also the parent that comforts them at the end. I'm the teacher. It's a lot, but I think and on top of the 17 self tapes we get in a week, right?
Yeah. Keep it out. Hey.
Ray, I crap you not. I won't say that. I crap you not. Today's self-tape, you can literally hear my sons fighting in the background. And I'm just kind of like, this is what you're going to get these days, right? I tried, I put them on devices, and anyway,
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah, and they're ruining your best takes.
It was my best take. I was so plugged in, and then every other take after that, it's good. So let me ask you, let me dive in here. What's it been like for you? Right? Because on this side, I've seen the steady incline to CAA, right? And I just wonder what's it felt like for you on your side? Meaning that like, did you just feel like it just happened in a day, or did it like
Definitely not.
just what's been your experience? Because people on the outside can judge it, right? And we can put our thoughts on it, and I could be like, oh, that was so easy for Ray, but I just want to hear what it was like for you on your side.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting that it's seen that way, because it hasn't felt that way. It's felt like I've had to, every step was a clawing forward of like, every day I feel different, and every day I feel like I got it, and then the other day I feel like I don't got it. And that just in a very general sense, that could be for auditions or every day on set, or just how I'm feeling about myself in general. So it's really nice to hear you think that I'm succeeding. But yeah, I'm just happy that, it's beyond my wildest dreams to make a living as an actor, because I just think this is the best job, and it continues to be able to explore every rad part of myself and finding out new things is something that challenges you so much. So I'm just happy to be doing it. And it's also an added layer of just feeling so grateful that I can make a living doing it too.
Yeah.
It's just that in and of itself is enough, because I didn't think I knew I'd get to some place where I would be happy, but to be happy every day was the goal, or perhaps it still is. But yeah, man.
I remember seeing you in, an acting class, and like torn and tattered, like, do you know what I mean? Always smiling, but
Oh, man, Yeah.
I don't mean to call you out like that.
No, dude. Yeah, that's me.
If you're not watching this on the YouTube channel, make sure you do. His face, like, but heady, right? Like, and just very. But now you look lighter.
Thanks.
He's like Carrington has stole my soul.
Yeah, I know. I don't have an identity anymore, so I guess it's very liberating then.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what it is? I don't know. Maybe it's a switching of mindset, but I've stopped trying to take myself so seriously, I guess. And once I learned that I'm just to be grateful to be doing it, as simple as that sounds, a lot of things I was able to let go of and to be a little bit more present in situations and with people and with auditions and just everything in general. It's been a big load off of my back because you're always on some sort of a race against time, right? At this age, this actor that you looked up to did this thing. And so I should be doing that too. But I started eliminating those shoulds and just learned to be very happy and understanding that I didn't skip a step to get here. I had done non-union commercials, union commercials, one-line co-stars, two-line co-stars, guest stars. And I just know that I'm kind of a slow developer anyways. So, and I plan on doing this for the rest of my life. So what's the rush? And I just try to, one thing you instilled in me at a very early part of my career is to do the work. If you do the work and you show up and you do a good job, that's going to be what people know you for. Yeah. And I like the fact that people see me through that sort of lens. And I like the fact that more or less I bring what they want me to bring, and that's just really nice that there's that sort of a sense of accountability. I don't know, a sense of security, I guess. There are better words to describe that, but yeah, man, I've just been a fan of doing the work and
You've always loved the work, by the way.
I do.
One thing I remember, you love getting into the work and the meat and the.
Oh, thanks for saying that, man. Yeah, I really do. Yeah, and I think everything else is gravy, man. I don't like to take any moment or any single audition for granted, and I'm just grateful for it all. So yeah, I do love the work.
I want to talk to you about the business because there has to be a part of you that has plugged into the business side of this to be where you are and to sustain that, right? But before we go there, talking about the work, you're a theater guy, right? And you love the you love the theater part of it, which I do too. I think that's where a lot of that comes from. I just want to, like, when you were getting Here and Now, I remember this story you once told about Bialy Thomas, seeing you in a play, or did they come? Tell me that story again.
Bialy Thomas are big theater people. So whenever they hear of something in town or around town that's worth seeing, they're going to go see it. It was never a goal of mine specifically to be seen for doing theater, but it just so happened that they had seen me in a play that I was the lead in, and I got to kind of do it all. I got to be the romantic lead. I also got to show sides of myself that was very vulnerable. I got to rap on stage. I sang, I danced, I did a little bit of everything. And I think I really showcased my ability well. And it was a fantastic play. And the play went on to, be commissioned as a trilogy to go off Broadway at Manhattan Theater Club. It's just a great play. And I was very fortunate that Bialy Thomas was also there. I don't know that there was a direct translation to Here and Now, but I know the fact that it left a very good impression on them. And so, being in the room with them, being called in for Here and Now, there was a level of we knew I didn't know of them, but they knew me. So that sort of comfortability felt nice and it felt warm. And it felt like they trusted me, which was crazy because it's a series regular part for an HBO show. I had never done a series regular before, let alone thought of myself as whatever HBO liked. But the fact that they felt like they could trust me with this role felt like it came from somewhere else. It wasn't just what I did in the room.
Well, it's very interesting because a lot of actors don't want to do theater. They don't want to do the other things that, create the project or, do the short film or do the things that people will see them in, right? That can possibly see them. And I know you said there might not be a direct correlation to booking that, but I feel like that's a cop out because you just said it was a warmness already in the room. There was a safeness. They already knew you. So they knew you because of that, if that makes sense. Not saying they like here offer out, but they're like, great, we saw what he can do.
No, I suppose you're right, but I didn't know that they had seen my play when I went to go read for them. It was only after where my agent was like, they saw you in Via Gone and they really liked you. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Because how the hell would they know me otherwise? Yeah. And I think, the thing that draws me to theater is that I think all the best writing is in theater. I think there's so many playwrights of color. There's so many cool stories. It's no secret that some of the best playwrights go on to, become showrunners and creators. And, a lot of the ones I know coming up are now writing for Disney and Marvel. It's some of the greatest minds are in theater. And the fact that you could take apart one script for 3 months. And sometimes if you're lucky enough, you get to stay with it for 6, 7, 8 months. And the fact that you can still learn something about it every day, it just goes to show that the work is never done. And that's what I love about theater is that you're constantly trying to learn something more, whether it's about character or story. But yeah, it's for geeks, and I like it.
Yeah, and bravo to you, but to anybody out there who has not seen Here and Now, you can catch it. It's in the canon for HBO, so you can see it, in its glory. But one of the first season, you guys did a season of that. One of the things that I loved about that was just how you took on the transformation. Like, just took on the body, you're being worked out. I mean, you probably killed yourself. And I think, again, like I was saying, I don't know. Do you keep up with that body? You guys, making us dads look bad?
Hell no. That diet is brutal. My body's not made for that.
Yeah. And but I thought like, wow, look at Ray go in the sense that, again, how many people are ready to step into that? Right? How many people are ready to step into that type of regimen? And so it was noted on this end, man. It was noted your consistency with that. You know what I mean? To keep.
Thanks. I believe it was just justified by the character because he played a life coach who was also capable of running a triathlon. And I'm like, well, I need to look like a triathlete, believably. So yeah, that's
so you went in.
I went in. I had to.
Yeah. So what do you think would be like right now, if you're thinking about it, what do you do consistently right now that maybe you didn't do before that's keeping you at your peak performance right now or peak part of your career right now? What do you think you do consistently?
Well, since we're talking about exercise, I think exercise is a big part of it. I'm a very physical person. I have a lot of energy, a lot of nervous energy. And so for me, the fact that I get to expel some of that every day is very important. And it's something that I started doing way back, like whether it's running or something, but I just know that I have to release some of that energy so I could relax. Yeah. So that's something fairly consistent that's always stayed with me, even before Here and Now. Here and Now just kicked it up to another notch, but even prior to that, exercise has always been a very big thing.
That's good. Good. I like that. And, I said we'd come back to the business side of things. What? You're just business. Like you're with one of the biggest agencies in town, right? Or if we can say biggest agency in town. I'm wondering, is there something that you do now, the way you operate, the way you navigate through spaces? Is it different than maybe your past moments with other agencies or past moments with other positions in your career?
Maybe it's working on me on a subconscious level, but I don't feel like I'm CAA. I don't feel like there's an overwhelming presence or an identity that I can latch myself onto now that I'm at CAA. I just feel like they provide me with more access and information. And if they decide to call somebody, they're knowing that they're going to pick up is a really nice thing. But all that to say, being at a very large agency means you're there with a lot of very large talent, and to also feel like I'm in a very large ocean. It's just also a very humbling feeling too. So I definitely makes me want to work harder to kind of gain the attention. And you hear it all the time. it's always about the agent and not so much the agency. And I'm very happy that even at CAA, this monster agency, I still have agents that are very personable and dedicated to me. And it feels very nice that I'm not feeling like I'm getting lost or anything. But yeah, I would say the access is the biggest thing. And the kind of, I guess it's not really insider knowledge, but just the extra level of like knowing, oh, this person's working on that project, this person's casting that already. It's like those are all givens now, whereas in some of that information was withheld from me before. And I just like to know as much as I can going into every situation. So it's very nice. I was reflecting on this a couple of months ago, and I had realized that I had been with a total of 8 different agencies altogether, commercial and theatrical. Mm. And that's a pretty staggering number, considering that I must have changed agencies, whether it's commercial or theatrical, at least once a year or once every other year. And it always came by way of me feeling like they don't have the same interest in mind for me, where you always want to be with somebody who has the same level of hunger as you. It hasn't been satiated. I still want more, and I'm still hungry for more. I'm grateful every step of the way, but I know that I want to be with somebody just as hungry as I am. And whenever I feel that there's a lack of reciprocation on the other end, I tend to start looking elsewhere. And CAA, I mean, now that I'm there, I feel like it's on me now. You know, I feel like I got to do it. So
what does that mean? It's on you now. What does that mean?
On the business end, I got to where I guess I wanted to get to. Right. CAA has always been my, that's been my Zion, I guess.
Yeah, the dream. Yeah,
that's the dream, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm here, it's like I have no excuses. I'm going to be presented with the opportunities. It's still up to me to go out and get it. It's not like I'm getting offered these things. It's on me. I have to get cast in it. And so, yeah, it puts more pressure on me, which I like. And it's just up to me now.
It was interesting. No, it's good. I've never thought about it that way. You know, it's interesting to hear you say that you switched. It looks like every other year or every year, you know, in that race of, let's call it hamster wheel, actually, of pick a new agent, get a new agent, go back in there. And that whole game plays a thing on your psyche anyway. Right? Of like, oh gosh, I got to get somebody else to be invested in me. And now you're at this place where you're like, I'm good. Now it's just me. I get to just fall back on the craft. But I wonder how that thinking feels to you, knowing that there's a lot of things that are outside of our control, right? We can come to the table 120 times, like amazing, you know what I mean? But if they want Brad Pitt, they want Brad Pitt each time, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, it's happened so frequently for me that they've always wanted a name that at this point now, like that is the best reason for me to not get something. I just, you know, I'm not big on, I need feedback now, but if I do get feedback, I like that it went to somebody that was very notable, as opposed to somebody who outworked me, I guess. But
It's interesting. I was talking to my agent, and we were talking about self tapes, and I was like, these self tapes, I'm killing them. I got like my self tapes game is awesome because we're not in the rooms right now, you know. And he's like, Dewan, here's what I have to tell you. I know you're getting these great appointments. I know you're doing a great job, but now since there's like less shows, less things going on during quarantine, he's like, you're up against the Tay Diggs and the Morris Chestnuts, and you know what I mean. And he's like, wow. So he's like, the first round that you are in, like that come out for the auditions, you're in those rounds right now. And so me with that other thinking is what I'm talking. I'm coming to this place of like, what did I didn't. And he's like, no. We're in a whole different game now. So they're giving it and offering it. And I understand all the game. I understand the inner workings now, but we didn't know that before when we were in class.
Right. Yeah.
Every audition, it meant life or death. You know what I mean? It's like, now should I pack up and go home? You feel me on that? Like, I mean,
yes, I've been in waiting rooms where I'm going in for a part. I'm going in to read for a part, and I can hear the casting director making an offer to the actor, the notable actor for my role that I'm auditioning for. You know, like, so knowing that there's always options, I don't know what it did to me in the moment, but where I am now with it is like, just do the best work you possibly can and then just leave it and go. And I've been so much better at just leaving it and going, almost to the point where I'm just like, I get mad if I hear about it again. You know what I mean? Like I don't even want to. I forgot about that already. Oh no, I have to rememorize those lines for a callback. I think it's swung the other way where I'm almost mad at it, but I'd rather live in this world where I've forgotten about it instead of thinking about it every day.
I think it's a great place to be in. I want to echo that sometimes I'm like, oh, what was that thing again? Like somebody's like, how did that audition go? And I'm like, right.
Yes.
With that, you know what I mean? And that's okay. It's not like, oh, you have so many auditions. It's just that I dump it and go. Like I have to but I want to be clear, everybody out there listening, like I fall in love with every single character. And I think it's sometimes when I go back, I have to leave a piece of me with them. You know what I mean? But the way the machine is working right now is I do it and I have to let go. Letting go is so much part of the process right now because I have to move on. If not, then I'm just going to be weighed down by all these moments and these characters and these people. And then when it comes again, I'm like, I didn't get any of that. You feel me? You have to fall in love with
man. I couldn't have said it better. That's perfect. Yes. Yeah. It's the letting go. Yeah. It's in the recycle bin, but it's not in the trash yet. It's just there waiting for you to empty it. Just boom. Yeah.
That's a good one. It's in the recycling bin. You know what I mean? I can go back to it, but it's like, yeah. As a person of color, person of color here, you know what I mean? I'm just wondering that comes to mind. You don't have to dig deep on this one. Any obstacles or hurdles that you feel like you faced in this industry. And I think for me, it's important to ask this question because I think a lot of people don't think about what people of color or underrepresented communities go through. So I like to ask that question just to highlight it a little bit.
Man,
when it starts like that, it's going to be good, y'all. When it starts like that.
Don't put pressure on me. I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm very grateful to see that in my lifetime and in my career that there has been a dynamic shift in the way that Asians, specifically Asian men, has been viewed in this industry. Just the fact that there's almost an obsolescence of asking for stereotypical accents is a major step. And that's only happened in the last 3-4 years, I think. I think there's articles that date back to 2015 that are still I can't believe I got called in for this, and this is what I had to do. I had to walk out of that audition and I had to tell everybody else to walk out, that wasn't that long ago. Wow. And now, because of Twitter and the internet, and the Me Too movement, which has been so vital in playing a role in this is, people will gang up against that and they'll really be exposed. And we're living in a great time where there's the fight for injustice in that department. So it's really great to see that change in my lifetime. But I think my biggest hurdle with that came very early on when I booked a part that was pretty harsh. It was my first year out, and it was a movie, and it was supposed to be a semi-big movie with some pretty semi-big names attached. And I was over the moon because somebody wanted to cast me in something, and it was an accented role for accented reasons, just for that. Mm-hmm. And I remember being so thrilled to get a nod from the producer being like, you might be the guy. And then I remember calling everybody, all my friends and family, being like, look, I got this part. I think I got this part. I got it. And they're like, what is the role? And I'm like, well, he's one of the friends. And, he's kind of the butt of the jokes, but he can take a joke. But he has this accent, and it's for no good reason he has and I was going down this rabbit hole of trying to sell to my friends and family the idea that this is something good. And I'm like, if my career is going to feel like this forever, where I'm constantly having to sell people on the idea that whatever I'm doing with my life is good, I am not along for this ride. And I remember having to say no to it because it just was not okay. And I told myself, if I was able to make this decision this early on in a role that could have possibly change the trajectory of my career, then maybe I can do that for everything else too. And I think I'm very fortunate that something like that happened so early, and it really wasn't something that I had to come across anymore, because every agency or manager I met with was like, okay, one thing is clear, we're not doing accents, we're not doing this. Anything that's going to make me or my people look bad, we're not doing that. And you know, I've been trying to adhere to that throughout my career.
First of all, that's a beautiful story. I want to say that what I heard from that, and what I want people to take away from that, is that desperation can't be at the helm of your career. Mm. Right? You weren't so desperate to get this quote unquote life-changing, you know, trajectory of your career role, that you were just like, no, I got to go back on my values. I got to go back on, like, why am I doing it? So there was no desperation there, right? It wasn't the driver, is what I heard in that whole thing. And that's so beautiful, because people out there, actors out there listening to this, they're going to like listen to that. My hope is, and understand that you've already had a couple of life-changing roles after that, right? I mean, we can put that in place. So that one could have felt so heavy back then, but look at where your career is now. So you made the right, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh man, look at you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah. It's one of those, I have like 3 instances in my career that I can really recall as pivotal moments, and really changing, just completely shifting my paradigm for the best. And that's the very first moment.
Yeah. You know, and I think that's important to tell that story, you know, the way you told it. You don't have to, we're not calling anybody out, but what happens with that is, you know, sometimes actors, we have a hard time. I'm putting us in there so nobody feels singled out, but we have a hard time saying, no, we don't want to go out on that audition. You know, early on, I don't want to play airport man. I don't want to do whatever. And I've said that too. If I got to like talk Ebonics, I'm out. If I see on your paper where they strung some words together because that's what they think it sounds like, no, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's just, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that.
And you have to look at it like, who wrote this? Like, right. Is this somebody who knows my background that wrote this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's very important as well. Like, who's telling my story?
Who's in the room telling
Who's
it,
in
right?
the room?
Who's in the room?
I mean, I hope to get to a place where I can ask for that too. If you want me as a part of your cast and you're writing for me, who's in the room that's writing for me?
Yeah.
I want to be able to, I want to get into a position where I can ask those questions and have an honest response and get an honest response.
I think we know that position is not too far off, buddy.
Oh, thank you, man. I'm blushing.
You know, when you come on this podcast, I'm going to speak goodness over your life, man. I'm prophesizing good stuff. We don't get on here and talk lack.
Thank you, man. I'm revealing. I feel like I'm revealing so much more than I anticipated to, because I just feel I feel comfortable with you.
I know. Yeah, I'll pull you back. I'll pull you back
too. And your tribe, man.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Well, let me ask you something. You've talked a little bit about, you know, those being pivotal moments. What would you say might be one of your biggest mistakes that you made in your career?
I don't know that I'd call this a mistake. Maybe my just being alive was a mistake in that moment, because I must have looked silly to this person. But I had done this indie film called The Leading Man back in 2013, and Sai Chin was in the film, who's a legend. And we had taken it was a cast photo, and Sai Chin and I didn't have any scenes. And so I just wanted to introduce myself. She stood in front of me for the photo, so I tapped her on the shoulder. I'm like, hi, I'm Ray. I just want to introduce myself. I was in the movie with you. And she was like, oh, do you read? And I was like, not as much as I'd like to, but yeah, I read. She's like, do you travel? And I was like, no, I don't really travel. She's like, go read, go travel. And I was like, oh, okay. And what I took away from that was, it was not enough to just be there, to just be looking good or trying to look good. Get cultured. build some substance, read, go travel, like become interesting by being interested. And this isn't a beauty contest. And I don't know if she meant to impart that sort of wisdom on me. I think she did, because she looked at me in that way.
Yeah.
But it was a very big learning moment for me, where I was just kind of oblivious. I was just so happy to be at a movie premiere and be taking pictures, where I was just kind of lost sight of things. And I guess she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I remember that. I've been reading and traveling since. Yeah. And it's enriched my life.
And I wonder, when you go meet other bigger people, are you, hi, I'm Ray now? No.
Oh my God. I'm fanboying out every second. And they tell me the same thing. Do you read?
Why does everybody keep asking me if I read?
This guy's an idiot.
This guy, no. That's not bad. That's not bad. I like that. I like that. Ray, before we jumped on, I was talking about the other day, I saw you pop on live, Instagram live, for your congratulations on your Sundance short, getting into Sundance. And, Instagram notifies you when certain people pop on and do a live. And it said Raymond doing a live. And I was like, Ray's doing a live? I was like, let me get on to it, because I never see you on social media, right?
It's my first time on live. Yeah.
It's the first time. I guess I just wonder, I was going to see if you changed your take on social media, because I saw you do a live, but I realized now that it's your first live. So you haven't changed your position on social media, where you're just it's there. What's up with that?
I think I use social media.
I think you use it, but you're not on it constantly. You're not updating people about all the stuff that's going on in your life.
I feel like I am.
I love it. He's like, I feel like you guys, we're having a fight here. No, you have been, I think, in the last little bit, but I think you shared a lot of the Sundance stuff, or you reshare a lot of the stuff that's happening in, not politically, but in the Asian community right now. You're speaking out, right? You know what I mean? And is that just how you see social media right now? Or are you, it's not constant updating? I don't see your daughter on there a ton.
Oh, well, that needs to change, because she deserves to be seen a lot, because she's so cute. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I do use it quite frequently. I look at other people's posts all the time.
That's awesome. Wait, you just said, I was like, do you use it? You're like, yeah, I look at other people's stuff all the time.
I'm using it. I'm using the app, no? And I'm commenting and I'm liking. That's how you use social media. I see what I know what you're saying.
See your life. We want to know about you, social media, right?
Well, you know what?
That's a wallflower. You're a wallflower.
I generally am. I think I'm an introvert by nature, and I think it manifests itself by ways of social media as well. I guess recently I've been a little bit more vocal on it, because there has been a lot of hate crimes towards Asian elders, and it's been awful, to say the least. And I think when my heart starts going and my blood starts rushing around my body, I don't know where else to put that except to share how I'm feeling, I guess, and to also bring awareness to the fact that this is happening. And it was very pointed at news outlets, because major news outlets weren't covering it. And, I also felt like there are so many Asian activists right now. They really excite me. And I wanted it to be a movement where we can get the attention of ABC, NBC, CBS, and to really cover the fact that these hate crimes are happening and something needs to change. And so, it was definitely motivated by something.
Yeah, I love that, man. And, I guess it's so funny. I guess now that I stop and think about it, I guess you are an introvert, but you're not introverted with me. So I don't, we don't.
No, I'm a one-on-one. If you find me in a room, I'm generally
yeah.
But I like one-on-one stuff. I like quality time stuff.
Yeah. So I definitely I hear you when you say that. I guess I just want to follow up with that question and ask, we as actors, sometimes we have a hard time merging the two of like being an activist and also, our career, merging the two, because traditionally we don't want to say anything that's going to offend X, Y, and Z because we might have to be on their platform. But it sounds like you felt a little bit of responsibility to utilize your platform. Is that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
yeah, 100%. It was just so close to me.
Yeah.
There are other things I could get behind, and there are people who do not stand for or say like animal brutality, and they get behind it, and it's just so I could not stop placing my grandma in the shoes of these elders who were getting blindsided, and it just really bubbled up something in me where I'm like, I have to do something, and this was my small way of contributing and donating and raising awareness and calling friends to being like, hey, some stuff is going on. Promoting our short film and the injustices that were happening was and using my platform, to whatever degree I have, was very nice to know that, I can get some word out and there is some influence there. It was my first time really experiencing the power of that.
Yeah, I hope you'll keep doing it because, like I said, when you speak on social media, because you're not there, I guess, all the time, I'm like, what's Ray talking about? Let's go. You know what I mean? And so it's great that you're using it that way, buddy. Like,
cool.
I'm supporting that. I'm co-signing on
Thank you,
that.
man.
Yeah.
I'll take that to heart.
Do. This might be a little bit fleeting right now for you, but I wonder, we all have those moments when we felt like quitting, right? When we felt like this is not going to pan out, or maybe this is going to pan out differently, or maybe you don't, you never had that moment. I'm just wondering, do you still have those, or have you had those moments?
Because I had such low expectations for myself and making a living doing this, I don't know that I've really felt like I ever hit a wall saying that I think I need to quit. Something Bryan Cranston said in an interview really stood out to me, where the interviewer was saying, hey, you booked Malcolm in the Middle when you were 40, and then you had Breaking Bad. How do you feel about being a late bloomer or coming to success later on in your career? And he was like, whoa, let me stop you for a second. I've been making a living as an actor since the age of 24, and I've been able to support myself and raise a family off of doing the thing I love most. I consider that a great success, and I would still be acting even if Malcolm in the Middle and Breaking Bad hadn't come my way. And I was like, whoa, like that, because that resonates with me. I truly think this is a marathon, and I see sometimes, all the time, I see actors' work only getting deeper. And to me, I don't know that stardom was ever something I was chasing. I just wanted to do good work with good people, with good material, and to continue on this journey. And every day I'm trying to remind myself that every day I get to do this is success. And stuff like that resonates with me. I don't know how much stardom resonates with me. I don't know if this answers your question, but
I'm in it.
I hadn't felt like quitting because I always kind of had in mind that this is a marathon.
Yeah. I forgot that part, right? You forget it at some, not you, I'll just talk about me. I forgot at some point that it was a marathon. And it's always important to check back in with that, because you forget when, like I was on a series for 7 years, and then when that series ended, less than a month ago, and there wasn't something else there, what I would have done before has been like, great, this is great time to just, be with my family, to reconnect, all that stuff. But you get into the machine a little bit of, I got to get to the next thing. What's the next thing? Because you get swept up, and then here are all these appointments coming, and you're like, I got to get the next thing, instead of like, tap back into knowing, not just believing, but knowing that you will be doing this for a while. And when you tap back into the knowing of it all, not just the moment, but the knowing of it all, it gives everything a little less pressure.
Mm.
That's my jam. That's my story. Like, and I'm like, my friends are like, you haven't even got your last paycheck, for the but that's how the industry, if you don't stay in to, like you're saying, understanding that this is a marathon, that it's 60 years, not 6. Yeah. Right. But then somehow we get wrapped up in the agents and the press and the things. And it's like, oh, I got to do this quickly. Mm. Does that resonate at all with you?
Oh man, yeah, I had to take a deep breath after that. I mean, I'm finding our conversation so enriching because it's that toil all the time, over and over and over, and reminding yourself when you said knowing that it's going to happen, knowing that it's been happening, that resonates so deeply with me. But yeah, you're inundated all the time with industry news of a booking, and this project came out, and this person booked that. It's so easy to get lost in that. Yeah, I mean, we should be able to stand on the fact that like we haven't skipped any steps, and we're here, we've been here, and we're continuing to go. And I would die a happy man knowing that I could be on a series for 7 years. If that could ever be a thing that comes my way, man. Oh my God.
It's so funny, right? Because when we were in class all those years ago, you think about like where we are, literally you and I, where we are right now, we're inside of our dream right now.
Yes.
We're literally inside of our dream.
100%.
Like we're inside of the moment, but then because but here's the thing, here's the effed up thing about it all. If you don't take a bird's eye view and like look at it and step out of it, what you do is you get in it, you get in the spin cycle. Yes. Instead of just getting out of, I don't know if everybody's out there. We're vibrating high right now, but like, but you feel me, Ray? Right? Because we're in the current, we're in the flow of it right now. That we're not taking a step out and be like, oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I am on path.
Yes,
nothing is off path right now.
Yeah, And I was listening to your conversation with Chelsea Crisp, and when she said there's levels to this, that there is an Amy Adams, and then Amy Adams, it just never ends. So if you can't be happy, like it makes me believe that if you were given an Oscar, I still don't think if in that mindset you would still be happy with that Oscar. How about a second Oscar? I don't know. I'm trying. That's something that I'm coming to grips with now too, of just like, when is it ever going to be enough, and how much of that chip is enough to keep me going? But I have a feeling, because I've felt this way my whole life about things, where I'm just never going to stop in the pursuit to greatness or whatever, right? But it's the moments in between of how I can find joy and happiness in the pursuit of that is the nugget for me.
Well, I also think that one way that I remain happy and that is always humbling to me are my kids. And I don't want anybody to go out there and have kids because so that you can be humbled. You can do without it. But every time where some of my kids, their friends at schools, when they would be there, they'd be like, your dad's on Bosch or whatever. And they'd be like, yeah, they don't care at all about nothing. So nothing. My kids are all like, Dad, when are you going to do like Ant-Man? And I'm like, I'm trying. It's just a fun, humbling experience in there, man.
Totally. Yeah.
You already know I could talk to you all day, but I guess what do you do during slow periods? What do you, when you're having downtime, which you're not right now? Everybody who's watching this, that place looks very bare that you're in. It doesn't look like your home address.
This
might
isn't
be
my
a location.
I'm caught. I am currently in Quincy, Massachusetts, working on a new show for AMC. Kevin can fuck himself. And so, yeah, this is a very furnished home, and it's not furnished with my stuff.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. On my downtime, I like to stay active. As we mentioned, exercise. I like to read. I like to watch movies and catch up on stuff. It's pretty basic. I recently recently took up golf. Golf has been a whole journey in and of itself, like of self-discovery and frustration and how much you have to learn to deal with yourself. I was told very early on that this is going to be an occupation where there's going to be a lot of downtime, and you need to get comfortable with yourself, and you got to be good with hobbies. And luckily, I love taking up new stuff, and I think that as actors, we're called upon all the time at very short notice to learn a new skill set, whether it's learning how to use handcuffs or learning how to play basketball or learning how to play the piano. So the more interested you get into these different hobbies, I think it'll end up all siphoning back into your craft. And I just try to learn something new a little bit every day or every week. But yeah.
I love that you said, I try to learn new hobbies. Acting is not your hobby. You know how some people make it their side hustle, their hobby, but it's like I learned other things from my hobby, golf, taking up some reading. You travel. Do you read? Do you travel?
I do now. I gotta say, that's why I'm here.
Read and travel. I am being called so much by the higher power, higher source, whatever you believe in, to really go back and ask this question that I didn't think I asked. It's just like, how do you now, Ray? How do you now? And maybe it's different before. You can talk about before and after. How do you prepare for a character? Right? For the people that are out there, the actors, I'm just, who are trying to get to the next level or trying to get a thing. How do you, I don't even know how to get the question out. It's coming so hard. Right?
You mean in an audition or for an actual role that you're...
Let's say audition, I say audition that graduates into a role. How about that? Ooh, covered in both.
Oh, layers.
You booked it.
I'm going to walk myself through those feelings.
Yeah. So you get the appointment. Ding, here it is.
I get the appointment. I first try to suss out how similar this person is to me, or how dissimilar they are to me, and in what ways are they similar to me, and can I access those in order to make the specificity of whatever is close to me just really readily accessible. I guess that's a complicated way of saying, I just try to figure out if that person is me or is not me. And
that was beautiful the way you said it, by the way. I totally got it. Keep
okay,
going.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then I try to hold on to the things that are me. And if the character doesn't really speak the way I speak, I try to figure out why they speak this way, or and I try to figure out where they belong in this story too, because am I helping facilitate the story for the character that we're following, or are they following me? And that kind of also informs how I can approach the story, because the story is the big picture that we're making, and the character is just me functioning in the story. So I try to make the story very clear. And I just do a lot of rough sketches in my mind about how this character belongs in this world, and I try to do as much work as I can in a short period of time to try to make it specific to me, and then I just let it go. And then if I hear that I got the part, then I'll start doing the fine chiseling of okay, let's go back. Where was this character a year ago? Where was this character 5 years ago? Did they go to school? Did they like school? Did they have a girlfriend? Did they have a boyfriend? Did they have, what were their best friends like? What is his current best friends like? What are his parents like? And I just try to get really specific and really build the world, because the last thing I want to be is caught not knowing what my character would be feeling in this situation. So I try to have all of that informed so that I can show up on the day and know that I had done all my work and the homework, so I could just let go.
And is it any of that different from what you're booking before, right? And now you're booking some of these big things like Top Gun, you know what I mean? Or, just Here and Now, or Brian can go fuck himself. Was it Brian can go fuck? Kevin can go fuck himself.
Kevin, man. Fucking Kevin.
Fucking Kevin. But, is it different from when you were booking the first beginning steps? Has that morphed?
I don't think so. I think I prepare for every audition the same, in terms of character and
Agreed.
story. Yeah, I think the amount that you have to memorize changes, and the way you have to keep in mind the entire arc of whatever you're saying changes, but how I approach and the seriousness that I approach it with hasn't changed, really.
I love that. I agree with that. I think it's so important to get your process down, get it done well, you know what I mean? And understand that we are the authorities. We understand our instrument, our vessel. We understand that. And we're not always looking for the feedback, right? Can you tell me what it's like, no, I do this really well. Right. And it's like that outside noise that we're always asking for, you know, can you give me feedback instead of like, no, this is what I do. Yes. I know how to do it. And I think that's the difference from how I prepare, you know, before because I'm just a little bit more confident of like, they're going to want this or they're not, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But I'm going to definitely step into it fully.
And, and if your scene partner throws something at you that you weren't expecting, you want to respond as your character.
Yes.
And not be caught being Dewan, you know, oh, this is Ray laughing as opposed to, just preparation for all of that. Yeah. And what you said about not relying on others' feedback to affirm whatever you did was good, or was that, you know, just to know that this is what my character would do here. And if there's any variations, I'm open to direction, but this is what I feel confident in doing is it's very important.
Well, you know, Ray, if you'll leave us with this one thought, what would Ray right now tell younger actor Ray, like when you were just starting out? What would you say to him?
I would say, read.
Have you traveled?
Yeah.
So you
travel? Where? Take a plane somewhere. I would say don't take yourself so seriously, and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very happy to say I'm very proud of my career. I'm very proud of all my pitfalls and all my missteps and all the things I did well. And I have some very great memories doing this, and I want to continue to build on that. And, you know, you make great friends along the way, and it's just such an incredible journey. So I just want to tell my younger self to keep at it and stay present and be grateful and read and travel.
Read and travel. Get out of here.
Wisdom.